stuff because that's not actually part of, like, I don't have anything connected to this. I try to read what this I2C gate. So these devices also support an auxiliary I2C bus. Well, I don't have anything on an auxiliary I2C bus, so I did not copy that. This rather surprised me. I had to look up what the interrupt was connected to. Apparently the driver developer used a Beaglebone because the guy who submitted the kernel driver, because that's exactly, it happens to be on GPIO bank pin 21, right? So I went to the schematic to find GPIO bank 3, like so. If we look at the schematic, IMU interrupt is connected to GPIO bank 3 pin 21, offset 21. So the Linux kernel source in the main line, which is not terribly surprising because a lot of people use Beagles for doing things. But apparently the InvenSense guys submitted the driver to the mainline and used the Beagle because it's on the exact same pin. So I didn't even have to change those two values. Don't try to use those same values just randomly. It just happened to be that we wired up to them the same values. So you have to find which GPIO bank for the interrupt parent, and then the interrupts is the pin number inside that interrupt bank.
Where would I find that information?
The schematic. So I referenced the schematic to find out which one, and this again here's the schematic. It's GPIO bank 3 offset 21 is where it was wired up to. The schematic happened to be nicely. Otherwise, I'd have to look at the pin number and then look at the data sheet on the part to find out which pin, which is a little bit of a nightmare, but it happened to be documented nicely. Anyway, and that ends up. So the other thing I had a little bit of boilerplate stuff, right, for a plugin because I'm doing this as an overlay. So I said a fragment. I'm targeting the I2C bus that it's connected to. It happens to be connected up to I2C2. So I target I2C2 and add this element to I2C2. I wrote this into this. It's db.org overlays. There's a source ARM directory with all the example overlays. I'll submit this one so that in the future images will have this as a reference. And then you just do make and then sudo make install. And that installs all of the overlays that we built into lib firmware. So these are all the available overlays you have that you optionally load at startup. I haven't been building up much of a library of Beaglebone Blue overlays. So most of the stuff that people are doing with Beaglebone Blue don't really have a lot of overlays. But if you want to start adding stuff like the I2C code, the I2S codec, or like you start wanting to connect up new stuff, then you need your device trees. So now we've got the magic file. So this file, now this index device 1, that's a little bit magic because that's the order the order that the drivers get loaded is the order that that will show up. Right? So if I change my device tree, that index could potentially be different. But now I'm reading raw accelerometer values. Let's see, there's a magnetometer in here. So we're in temperature, angle of velocity. Is that?
Where are you? Angular velocity? Okay, that's the derivative of the gyroscope.
Yeah. So I don't see the magnetometer in here. I think the magnetometer.
Now, in the RCPY library, you had to call a special argument in order to get to view the magnetometer. By default, it doesn't show it, and I was wondering why.
I know that the MPU 9250 is kind of a weird hybrid device where it's kind of a combination between the combination accelerometer gyro and a magnetometer that are actually two devices kind of embedded within the same. What I'm wondering is if the magnetometer has a different driver. Oh, that's what that AK thing is. The auxiliary I2C bus is the magnetometer.
Huh?
So let's put this in. Go ahead and put that back in. Make sense? What I just did? Anybody following close enough to figure out what I see what I did? No. So once I changed it to put in this I2C gate, because I think that element is a magnetometer embedded within MPU 9250, so I wasn't loading.
Address?
It's a sub. So apparently there's an I2C bus inside the device itself.
Oh wow.
Weird, it's like a multi-device. So anyway, cut and paste.
Who makes it?
InvenSense. But there's like two die I think essentially in the package. Like the magnetometer is like on a separate structure.
So it'll be like what, one gyro, one magnetometer, and then an accelerometer. Or I guess a gyro and some accelerometer might be one die.
I think that's one kind of die or whatever, because it's not a pure silicon die, right? Because it's not a standard silicon process, I think, because there's a mechanical element to it.
Hey, on the GitHub webpage, did you ever make a webpage on GitHub?
Yeah.
So when I upload let's say I change index.htm, and then eventually I see the changes reflected on the page, but there's some
Delay, but where it has
I don't
to.
know how long it is. I don't know.
It's indeterminate. It's usually within a minute or two, but that's based on their servers running processing scripts.
So there's no way for me to know when to check back. Well, if I put a lot of images and things, then it could take half an hour. And
Oh, really?
yeah. And
Okay.
so I didn't know if there was any better way for me to know, or to like maybe if I upload a certain thing, like change the directories, then it has to
Rerun.
It does a lot more work than if I just.
I don't know.
So.
I've not seen it take 30 minutes. You must have a
Ugly webpage.
relatively complicated web page. Are you using Jekyll then? I mean, you have to be using Jekyll if you're using GitHub Pages.
No.
Yes, yes.
You have to.
Oh, wait, no, sorry,
No,
you're exporting
I-
HTML from Microsoft.
took
Oh,
my
you just
path.
have pure HTML. Okay. No,
I
you're
have
not using any of the
pure and
templates.
Beautiful. So what I did is, export it from a Word document, and the beauty of that is, I can.
No, there's no beauty in that.
There is, because you can create a PDF that is really elegant and have a static manual.
He disagrees.
You're not selling me.
And anybody who's a collaborator knows how to use Word. Nobody knows how to use HTML, CSS, Java. Also, the Word automatically creates, for instance, a table of contents. Automatically compress your JPEGs, make them PNGs.
So I don't see any extra. That may not be the magic trick for the magnetometer.
What did I do wrong?
Still getting these fiddles down? Is that what you're trying to duplicate still, is the fiddles?
Actually, I want to create a placeholder for dropping the fiddle script onto
The
web page.
web page.
Can you actually look at this further?
Yeah. I thought there was something I wanted to search before I lost the context in my brain. 1950 magnetometer. I just needed to.
Oh, maybe.
Because those AK devices were there, so I thought that was there.
So the SVG example, W3 schools, SVG.
Yeah, that's where that came from.
Oh, this isn't
It's
even-
close.
Okay, but this is the same thing, right? If I copied this HTML and then I put it into here, so I'm in docs, which is the root directory for index.html. Then I made GUI.html. I pasted this stuff.
Okay. So if you go to the URL where that gets rendered, what happens?
So I'm thinking I typed the URL wrong. If
I can translate the URL for you pretty easy because it's mext.github.io/.
What is it, slash?
You're on the master
This
branch.
is the master. This is the main page. Okay.
Yeah, but why are you on the master branch instead of the GH pages branch? Did you adjust your documentation to automatically pull from the master branch?
Only thing let me tell you my process, because I don't know any other process. I go to docs, scuttle/docs. I dropped everything from the Word export, which is just index files plus index. Everything else is.
Okay, I'll go into index.
These are just photos, and that's just an HTML. Then
So your
I go
URL
here,
translates into just
I get it.
scuttle.
Okay. Then right here, I created a link that does, it takes you to GUI.html. Doesn't need to
Oh,
be
no, it needs this
scuttle.
/scuttle.
/scuttle.
Yes.
Okay, so let me,
You're charging it.
Well, why don't you try visiting it first and make sure you have the link first before you.
Oh, and actually right now, so this is charging, but that one's showing you how many battery that one.
and then I can replace this with what we created here.
Brilliant.
175.50 percent.
Nice. That'll be fun. And then we'll just have the URL that is the status checker and go to town. So like our magnetometer, yeah, let's get that installed.
So, the way it's written now, it says ahref equals ... /... GUI.html. Do I replace the last two ... with scuttle? I have this syntax, it takes me to here. Okay. That's the address that I have. Do I need to?
Where are you intending
You just saw it.
to? Oh, okay, this is where you want to go, there's just nothing there yet.
No. Go there. This is where I just was.
Oh,
Let's go.
Yeah.
Now,
How do you
do I
POW,
put?
right?